This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Mark Magnuson.
Hello and welcome into Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today is Tuesday, May 7th, 2024. We're so glad you can join us for today's show. In today's episode, it is the latest edition of Between the Pods. Today's show will feature a conversation with Rosie Roberts. Rosie is a conservation agronomist with the Iowa Soybean Association, and she will discuss the Farmers for Soil Health initiative. It is time now for our closing market summary.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
At the end of another trading day, we are joined by Ross Baldwin of agmarket.net for our closing market discussion. Ross, what did we see take place in the grains today?
Hey, Mark, we had a mixed day of trade across the grain markets. We were lower on the overnights, found some buying similar to the previous overnight trade. Traded higher, attempted to, and then really corn had a mixed day of trade. July corn closed the day down penny and 3/4. Dees corn was unchanged, quarter penny higher. Soybeans, nearby beans, similar to corn, were 3 to 4 lower. July was, and the new crop beans, November beans, ended 6 to 7 cents higher, and the wheat market was anywhere from 5 to 10 lower between Chicago and Kansas City.
Ross, we had another big rainstorm roll through last night, covered a large portion of the state of Iowa, and now we're getting to the point where we have received quite a bit of rain here in this recent stretch. Is this enough to actually affect things when it comes to planting? After we saw those planting report numbers yesterday, what were your thoughts?
It's definitely starting to get to be plenty of moisture. I hate to say that I'm in an area last year where Woodbury County in Iowa was one of the driest counties there was. So you hate to act like it's getting to be plenty of moisture, but we've had a fair amount of rain in my area as well as the whole Corn Belt, and there's still plenty of moisture forecast across the Corn Belt over the next week. So while it's still too early to really get excited about planting delays, if this thing doesn't kind of start to dry out over the next week, you get out into next week and we're still talking about the moisture and whatever the 10-day could look like at that point, it can start to add some planting delays, that's for sure. But it still remains early, but we're at that critical juncture now. As you mentioned yesterday, the planting expectation or planting progress for corn came in at 36%. Trade was looking for 40%. The 5-year average is 39%. So we are starting to slip below the 5-year average. So it's just kind of like I said, we're at that critical juncture. Soybeans came in at 25%. They were below the expectations, but beans do remain above the 5-year average, which is 21%. So I would say for the time being, we're still in good shape. I think most farmers and most producers that I talk to, they would rather have the rain right now versus what we've dealt with these last few years. So the rain's definitely welcome, but it'll be nice to see it dry up just a little bit here so we can get the planters rolling again.
And as we continue to talk about weather, speaking of extreme weather events, we've seen some very heavy rainfall in portions of Brazil. Do you think this is going to be enough to make an impact in the marketplace, which, yes, we don't want to see extreme weather events like this that affect people in the way that they do, but they can provide some support in the marketplace. Do you think we will see that?
The extreme weather that they've had down in Brazil, Rio Grande do Sul, it has been letting up, and it's just been awful. I mean, you can see the flooding all over social media in their cities, what their farmers are dealing with as they're still trying to harvest that bean crop, and that extreme weather that's been going on in Brazil. That's largely, in my opinion, what we've seen play out in this bean market recently, where beans have put 50 cents on. I mean, heck, even since about last Thursday or Friday, what soybeans have put on. So it's definitely that extreme weather down in South America has added the spark to the bean market. So I mean, it's still early, but yeah, if you get some extreme weather like that, there's no question that you can add some fuel to these markets.
Let's switch over and talk about the protein sector. What did we see in the cattle and hogs today?
firmer day of trade across all three, live cattle, feeder cattle, and hogs. Hogs, they did close about $2, a little over $2 off of their high. And hogs, they've tried rallying here the last couple days. They found some support around their 100-day moving average. June hogs have, which is essentially about right where they ended the day today, was just above that 100-day. And the hog market over the last couple of weeks has sold off, had a very aggressive correction as the funds have had a good size long in the hog market, and we've seen them really lightening up on that position as hogs trade well above the 100 mark. But hogs over the last couple of weeks have had a $10 correction, and the cutout was weaker this morning, and they attempted to rally up to just got right below their 9-day moving average and reversed off of that. So the hog market, it has some concerns just from the technical picture looking at it. So I would just be a little mindful of that. I think they definitely need to watch June to hold that 100-day moving average, and it's hard to get too bullish until they can close back above that 9-day moving average, which was right around $1.90, I believe, today. Over in the live cattle market, they were about a dollar higher across the board, closed about $1 off their highs. They actually gapped higher on the opening, which was a little bit surprising. So cattle just remain range bound. August live cattle really remain in a 174 to 178 type range. I'm not as concerned about the downside right now in the cattle market. When you look at what the cash market's been doing, the strength that it has continued to show, even as the futures market's really sold off. Last week's cash was encouraging again. There was a lot of up here in the north, 187 live fob trade, and so dress trade 294, 295. So I think we're going to continue to see that the cash market stay strong, and I think for the time being we're just going to remain range bound. There hasn't been a new headline out with the avian influenza. Fortunately, the beef samples were negative that the USDA had tested, so I don't think it's been as big of a deal. We haven't seen as many new headlines, which is good, but I think the trade's just going to be cautiously optimistic, I think, across the cattle market just moving forward right now.
He is Ross Baldwin of agmarket.net, our guest here on the show. Ross, thank you for the time. What's the best way for our viewers to get in touch for more marketing information?
You can reach me at our office here in Anthon. Our number is 712-373-3276, or you can find any of the ag market brokers at agmarket.net.
Ross, thanks so much for the time, and have a great rest of your week.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you to Ross Baldwin of agmarket.net for our closing market summary. Let's turn now to the closing numbers, which can be found under the Markets tab of our website at iowaagnet.com.
July corn closes down 2 even at $4.67 even. July soybeans down 2 1/4 at $12.46.5. July soybean meal down $4.40 at $3.83.20. July soybean oil up 66 cents at $44.50. Chicago wheat down 6 even at $6.42 3/4. Minneapolis wheat down 6 1/2 at $7.19 even. Kansas City hard red wheat down 11 1/4 at $6.64 even. And July oats up 2 1/2 at $3.99 1/2. On the Merc, June live cattle up 65 cents at $177.62. May feeder cattle up 75 cents at $242.15. June lean hogs up 15 cents at $98.32. June pork cutout down 35 cents at $105 even, and Class 3 milk down 10 cents at $18.33.
That is our closing market coverage for today. It is time now to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soybean Checkoff. And up next, it is the latest edition of Between the Pods.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
You're watching Ag Matters PM, and it is time now for Between the Pods. In today's episode, I'm joined by Rosie Roberts, conservation agronomist with the Iowa Soybean Association.
It's time to go between the pods with the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network and the Iowa Soybean Association. For the next year, we will explore the ways Iowa-grown soybeans are making a difference at home and around the world. Now, here's your host of Between the Pods, Mark Magnuson.
Mark Magnuson for the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, and I am at the Iowa Soybean Association today for the latest episode of Between the Pods, and I'm joined by Rosie Roberts. And Rosie, could you tell us, please, your role here at ISA?
Absolutely. Here at Iowa Soybean Association, I am the Technical Insights Manager on the team, the Research Center for Farming Innovations.
So the Research Center for Farming Innovations and the Farmers for Soil Health Initiative, a big part of that. Rosie, could you tell us what the program does?
Absolutely. So on the national level, the Farmers for Soil Health Initiative is a big collaboration between the National Soybean Checkoff, the National Pork Checkoff, and the National Corn Growers Association. And it's a coalition or an initiative of about 20 states across the U.S. With the main goal of helping the U.S. to adopt 30 million cover crop acres by the year 2030. But here in the state of Iowa, what it looks like is Iowa Soybean Association is a technical assistance lead, which means that we're the ones helping sign up folks and connect them to the greater initiative.
So then you're kind of the go-between to help them actually get involved in the program.
Yes, absolutely.
So for farmers that are maybe already in it, how has the program gone so far?
It's been really great so far. So the first sort of initiative, or the first part of this initiative, was a cost share piece. So what that looked like for this last fall was any cover crops that were seeded this last fall got a cost share or a financial assistance piece. We've been marketing it as $50 an acre over the course of 3 years. For the first year, it's $25 an acre, and then $15 for the subsequent, and then $10 for the third. That adds up to $50. And this year we surpassed all of our goals. We had over 25,000 acres enrolled, and we have had a lot of success so far.
So Rosie, are there similar programs to this? Is this one unique? Farmers, why should they choose this program if they're looking for something like this?
Yeah, so this one is unique because it came out of the USDA Climate Smart initiatives, and it's really driven by farmers for farmers. And yeah, it stacks with a lot of opportunities. So when anyone has a question on if this could stack with another cost share they have, we'd always encourage them to reach out to one of our conservation agronomists.
And for a program like this, it always seems to me like a win-win all the way around. Is there a downside? Do you see something that a farmer might ask you a question and say, hey, this is something that has me a little bit hesitant? Do you ever get that?
Honestly, with this one, no. And this has been the first one that our team has really seen that it really doesn't have many of the downsides that some of the other cost share opportunities are. It really is the easiest for farmers to apply for and really has the least amount of regulations or things that would inhibit someone to be eligible for the program.
So what does the implementation process look like? Do farmers come to you? Do you go out there and look for farmers to get involved in the program?
Yeah, it goes both ways. So our team of conservation agronomists are the technical assistance leads for this. So we have 5 currently with Iowa Soybean Association, and they're both trying to recruit folks as well as anytime someone hears about it on the radio or in a press release, they can call our office and we can definitely connect them to one of our conservation agronomists as well.
So Rosie, would you be on the phone then helping them through that process? Would you be helping find someone else here at ISA to get them started?
Absolutely. I'm always happy to help. But like I said, our conservation agronomists are the go-to people in this space.
So which farmers then are eligible for this program here in the state of Iowa? Is it open to everyone?
Yeah, so the greater cost share incentive at the $50 per acre is for first-time cover crop users. And then at least for this last year, they had a $2 an acre incentive for previous users. It's unforeseen if that $2 an acre will continue into the fall of 2024. But definitely I would encourage folks to stay tuned because we'll be receiving more information on it and be promoting it later into the growing season. About August is what we're thinking.
So for this fall, then, what are we looking forward to fall 2024? Do we know the specific details yet, or is it still kind of open-ended?
It's still pretty open-ended. For the most part, we're still going off of that $50 over 3 years. So, for example, if someone were to have enrolled for the first time in the fall of 2023, they would have received that $25 an acre incentive. If they so choose to re-enroll for this upcoming year, they would receive that $15. And then if they go for the third year, that would be the $10 an acre incentive, which adds up to $50 over 3 years.
So is that, I guess, a little added incentive for first-time farmers? Is that just to get their foot kind of in the door then for people that maybe haven't ever done something like this before? Absolutely.
This really just helps them get familiar with how cost share and financial assistance sort of works. And then it's also nice that we can provide that technical assistance piece with our conservation agronomists, which really helps to ensure that our farmers are setting themselves up for success in these programs, making sure we're having a plan, defining goals, and really they're the boots on the field, the technical support, helping to ensure every challenge that happens can have a plan and help overcome it.
So, Rosie, just what I'm hearing then is you would kind of recommend this program to anyone that's even slightly interested.
I really would. Yeah, this was a great program for anyone, especially if you're on the fence about if cover crops fit in your acre or not. Oftentimes we'll get like the dad of a father-son operation call in and say, you know, my son's been saying I should be doing cover crops, but I'm just not quite sure. And sometimes we can provide a little bit of assistance to help that family farmer sort of go to that next step in their farm goals.
All right, Rosie, is there anything else you'd like to let our viewers know about when it comes to the program and maybe what they could do to get involved?
I would just say stay tuned. Like I said, in about August timeframe, we'll be doing a lot more promotion about what the cost share will look like in fall of 2024. And just in general, when you start to plan your cover crop plan for the fall of 2024, don't hesitate to call our conservation agronomist. They're happy to help.
Rosie Roberts with Iowa Soybean Association, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here on Between the Pods, and have a great rest of your week.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you to Rosie Roberts of the Iowa Soybean Association for joining today's show. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, X, LinkedIn, and TikTok. And you can find our video content and previous episodes of AM PM on our YouTube channel. Don't forget as well our free morning, midday, and closing markets on Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, I'm Mark Magnuson. On behalf of Riley Smith, Dustin Huffman, and Andy Peterson, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.